Imagine this, your home, your sanctuary, but every move, every sound, every private moment, silently watched, processed, and stored by artificial intelligence.
You install it for safety, for convenience, a silent guardian that watches over your private world. But first, that AI is constantly scanning your private video, which is often sent to the cloud.
AI promises to protect us, yet every video sent to the cloud carries a risk. A single breach and your most private moments could be exposed to the world.
That increases the risk of exposure. Then you have the flaws of AI itself, the potential for bias, or for it to just get things completely wrong. This is the idea of AI hallucinations.
And then there's the hallucination problem, when AI gets it wrong. A candle mistaken for a fire, a noise mistaken for a break-in, and suddenly chaos unfolds. A false alert is one thing. An AI that automatically calls the fire department is another. And once that data is collected, it's not just yours anymore. It can be subject to legal requests.
Okay, let's talk about the smart home. You know, that dream we were all sold of this seamless, convenient future. Well, for a whole lot of people, especially those who invested in Google's ecosystem, that dream has become kind of a daily nightmare.
In this voice, you hear this all over forums like Reddit. It really gets to the heart of this deep, deep frustration from people who've been using these products for years. It's not just about some tech not working. It's about that tech actively making their lives more difficult and, breaking the trust of the very people in their family it was supposed to help. For a lot of them, this isn't just a glitch. It's a broken promise.
So, what happened? How do we get to this point? How did this vision of futuristic ease turn into a daily source of frustration for the exact people who bought into the dream in the first place?
To really understand what's going on, we have to look back a little. So let's start by digging into the widespread problems that have been plaguing the Google Home ecosystem, turning so many of its biggest fans into its biggest critics.
The complaints are just so consistent. You see them everywhere. The system is getting worse over time. Things that used to work just fine now can't handle the simplest commands. The whole experience has become a roll of the dice, and for a lot of people, that expensive smart hub on their kitchen counter is now basically a very, very expensive digital clock.
And this is what that leads to. This feeling right here shows a total loss of trust in products people spent hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars on. Look, it's one thing for a new gadget to have some bugs. It's a completely different thing for it to actually get worse the longer you own it.
And on top of the software being a mess, there's another pattern that's made people really nervous: Google's history of just abandoning products. They have repeatedly pulled the plug on support for devices, leaving customers with perfectly good, expensive hardware that's been turned into e-waste because of a business decision.
But all of this frustration, it really sets the stage for Google's massive gamble to win everyone back. After years of what felt like neglect, Google seems to be signaling that they finally get it, and they're planning a huge comeback.
So with all this backlash from users, Google is betting the house on a complete overhaul. They're not just trying to patch up the old system. Nope, they're promising a totally fresh start, powered by their most advanced AI.
And it starts with new hardware. Leaks have already revealed a whole new lineup of Nest devices. We're talking new cameras, a new doorbell, and a new speaker. This is a big deal because it's the first major hardware update in years, and it shows that Google is finally investing in this space again.
But the new hardware is really only half of it. The real engine that's supposed to drive this change is Gemini AI. And look, this is not just a slightly better voice assistant. It's what they call a multimodal AI, which is a fancy way of saying it's built to understand text, images, audio, and video all at the same time.
So what does this new AI actually promise to do for you? Let's get into the heart of Google's plan to fix everything that's been broken for so long.
The promise here is a huge shift in how you actually interact with your home. We're moving away from those clunky, rigid commands where you have to say the exact right phrase to something that feels like a real, intelligent partner, one that understands context, that you can ask follow-up questions to without having to start all over.
So what does that look like in the real world? Well, instead of you scrubbing through hours of security footage, you could just ask your camera, "Hey, did a FedEx truck come by yesterday afternoon?" And Gemini is supposed to just find it for you. Or instead of building complicated routines in an app, you just describe what you want in plain English.
It's all about making things more intuitive and powerful with way less work from you.
But, and this is a really big but, this incredible leap in intelligence, this new convenience, it comes with a serious, unavoidable question that we really have to dig into.
Is the convenience of a truly smart, intuitive home worth the potential price we have to pay in privacy? Because to make your home that smart, Google's AI needs to see and understand pretty much everything that happens inside it. And this introduces some pretty significant risks. I mean, first, you've got the AI constantly scanning your private video, which is often sent to the cloud. That increases the risk of it being exposed in a data breach. Then you have the flaws of AI itself, like the potential for bias or for it to just get things completely wrong.
One of the biggest worries is this idea of AI hallucinations. This is when the AI misinterprets what it sees, mistaking construction noise for a break-in or a flickering candle for a fire, and then reports it to you as if it's a fact. A false alert about a package is one thing. An AI that automatically calls the fire department is something else entirely.
And it's so important to remember this. Once that deeply personal data is collected and stored on a server somewhere, it's not just yours anymore. It can be subject to legal requests, which means your private home footage could be handed over to law enforcement if they have a warrant.
And all of this brings us right to the core dilemma, doesn't it? This is the central tension that's going to define the future of the entire smart home industry, not just Google.
And the financial stakes here are just enormous. The smart home market is projected to be worth over $500 billion by 2030. This is exactly why companies are pushing AI integration so aggressively. There's a massive, massive incentive to get this technology into as many homes as possible.
So we're kind of at a crossroads. Google is promising to fix years of frustration with an AI that offers truly incredible convenience. But that convenience requires giving that same AI unprecedented access into our private lives. The final chapter of the smart home story isn't written yet, which leaves us all with a big question. Is the price of total convenience one that we're actually willing to pay?
At the heart of the smart home revolution lies a question we can't escape. How much privacy are we willing to sacrifice for total convenience? And this brings us to the core dilemma. Google and the entire industry promise to fix years of frustration with incredible convenience. But that convenience requires giving AI unprecedented access to our private lives. The final chapter isn't written yet, which leaves us all with a big question.